what are your thoughts on the LMDH compared to the LMP2? I know it's going to be, they've throttled the LMP2 just a little bit, but a 3-class race, 3-car race, 3 different classes. Have you done any practices yet between like racing the LMDH and the LMP2? Because if the LMP2 has had to have gotten slower, the LMDH is clearly faster. They still have GT3s to contend with as well. Do you have any thoughts on all of that?
I literally just bought the LMDH like this week, so I actually got a little bit of running with it. I did not own the LMP2, so I have no information on that at all. But we did do a practice race that had the LMDH and the GT3s in the class running at the same time, and it was a lot like last season's races. The closing speed is not much different between the LMDH and the GT3. It didn't feel that much different, but it'll be interesting to have the GT or the LMP2s in there also, kind of fill in that gap, being just that interesting. So I, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to add for a little bit more excitement. Um, it's going to teach guys how to drive a little bit more. I mean, the beginning of the season, last season, you kind of saw guys making some crazy mistakes, some crazy things, some crazy moves. But by the end of the season, you saw them learn. They developed and they learned their character. They learned how to drive, and that's the whole goal in this race. I mean, you can see in the story of the league is just to teach guys how to get better, and the community that has been born from just what Dre and Will have created is just incredible. I mean, I was honored to even be asked to be part of an admin of the team, and Dre came to me a year ago when he was just starting to do this. He says, "Hey, would you like to come do this?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. Do your thing." But for them to come back to me and say, "Hey, we really would like you to come on and be part of the team," and it's. I mean, I was honored to be able to be part of this.
Well, let's just say Dre, Will, was part of slow motion broadcasting first. Just saying.
That's true.
So
But Will brought me, or not Will, but Dre brought me to you.
he did do that, but I'm still taking responsibility for you being as good of a guy as you are for them to ask you to be an admin in the Wrong Stuff Racing League. So this is, but no, Mike, I'm super excited for what you've got coming on or in the works with Wrong Stuff. And I know it's going to be a great fit. You've done a great job on the commentary side as well. And I think it will help. You're going to be on the call as well for that multi-class series, and knowing the ins and outs of all of that is going to be extremely helpful when it comes to calling, because we've got on the commentator side, it's different because we try to get as much information out to the commentators as we can, but it's just really tough. And Randall and I have kind of talked about this, trying to get all of these broadcast checklists or these producer checklists put out every week for everybody to know kind of what's going on. It's not that easy. And to have someone like you to be able to do all of that, or not do all of that, but know kind of what's going on behind the scenes is going to be extremely helpful.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a new challenge. It's going to be, just the business part of playing with, the simulator. But I mean, I've done, Adam, as you know, I've done RC car racing. I've announced RC car races for 20, 30 years. I've done national championships, world championships. I mean, it's talking about racing is the easy part, but it's that directing part and being on the backside of it that's going to be a new adventure. So I'm looking forward to it. And, we could kind of segue into, part 3 or 4 or whatever this is of the podcast is we're going to integrate live race control. And so it's going to be the first thing that you were talking about. So, I mean,
before we segue into that, Justin, I brought you in. Well, you're part of this now, but I asked you last week if you had any competition coming in. Now we're a week gone. Will has told me there is a bunch of new signups. Do you know any drivers in there that finally might give Justin Hall a run for his money?
I saw the iRacing cap got raised to 4K, so I'm expecting to be blown out. And honestly, I was glad Mike got put on here because I do have some questions to pick your brain about as far as strategy.
But
we do need to talk about that as well. I think the
Oh,
race
you
control
need
thing-
strategy help?
wow.
You need strategy help? I could give you the absolute worst strategy, and you won't know what to. Then at least you know what not to do.
That's
Right.
I mean, that's usually my baseline. I'm very poor at anything but just putting the gas pedal down. I don't know fuel numbers. I don't. And that was kind of my first question. Did you guys do a lot of fuel testing for the new league, or was there any type of rationale for the amount of fuel percentage allowed for certain classes versus the time of the race to kind of encourage a certain amount of pit stops or fuel saving strategy?
Will is the number guy. He's the one that does all that kind of testing and
Trust me,
gets
we
things.
know, Mike.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you. I don't know yet. So I know he's done a lot of testing. He goes and does. I mean, they did all those winter sessions to try to to learn what 50% fuel did or 40% or whatever, and just try different things. But Will is that numbers guy, and so he's way better answering that question than I would be able to.
This is Into the Apex Motorsport Podcast Network.